Hello, fuck hunters. Imagine a world when all your secrets, from passwords to bank accounts, could be exposed with a single click of a button. This is the reality that the internet hides behind its shiny surface. But to help us, there is OWASP, the Open Web Application Security Project, a non-profit organization founded in 2001, a group of experts whose goal is to protect the internet from the greatest threats. They created a list called OWASP Top 10, which explains the most common ways hackers attack. Today I'm going to talk about those 10 ways, but not just that. I will show you how those attacks happen with simple examples and how you can protect yourself. So, stay to the end. The list includes points for both users and developers, so I will mark each point accordingly. Are you ready for this mysterious and shocking journey? Let's get started. Number 10. Injection attack for developers. Imagine that you are in a restaurant and order a pizza. You say to the waiter, "One carbonara pizza please." But suddenly someone behind you says, "And not the most expensive dish on the menu." The waiter doesn't know who said it, so they add the expensive dish to your order. That's horrible, no? This is an analogy for injection attack. On the internet, a hacker can add invalid or malicious commands into website you use, gain access to information they shouldn't have, like personal data or passwords. And how the attack happens. Injection attacks typically occurs when unprotected forms or search fields on a websites allow a malicious user to input code. For example, imagine a site lets you search for product by keyword. A hacker could enter special code into this field, and instead of receiving product result, they might access sensitive information or even force the site to perform unauthorized actions. That's why developers need to validate and filter data. But don't worry, this is common attack and established companies have taken measures to prevent it. Number 9. Broken authentication. Users. Imagine the following scenarios. You are going to a hotel and receiving a key that opens every room in the building. Whether the room is empty or has guests, the key works everywhere. That will be a complete secure disaster, because anyone could access any room with that one key, right? On the internet, hackers use easy, predictable, or stolen passwords to break into accounts and gain access to personal data, passwords, financial details, and other sensitive information. This is a common type of attack, especially when users use weak passwords or the same password for different accounts. Hackers can try hundreds or thousands of the most commonly used passwords to crack account protections. For example, many people use passwords like 123456 or password or even their birth date. These passwords are easy to break. Another technique is brute force attack, where hackers automatically try every possible password combination until they find the right one. This takes time, but with a powerful enough computer, it can be successful. Number 8. Exposure of sensitive data for users. Imagine something foolish. You send a letter to a friend but forget to seal it in an envelope. If it's not sealed, anyone who sees it on the way can open it and read the contents. This is the analogy for exposing sensitive data. Sensitive data exposure can happen in various ways. For example, if you use unsecure Wi-Fi networks, hacker can intercept any messages or data transmitted over those networks. This is especially dangerous when you're using public Wi-Fi hotspots in places like cafes, airports, or malls, where security is not guaranteed. Another way data can be exposed is through encrypted websites that don't use HTTPS, Security Hypertext Transfer Protocol. If the site doesn't use encryption, any information you send through it can be intercepted by hackers. Attack example. Imagine You decide to buy something online and enter your credit card details on an unsecure website that doesn't use HTTPS. In this case, if the site isn't secure, hackers monitoring internet traffic can easily intercept your data and use it for their own purposes. If the site is secure with HTTPS, that data will be encrypted, making it much harder for hackers to access it. How to protect yourself? Use only secure websites that use HTTPS. You can check this by looking for https and a padlock icon in the address bar. Avoid using public Wi-Fi for important transactions. Be cautious when sending sensitive data by email. Number 7. XML attacks for developers. And now, you're receiving an invitation to a party. The invitation says you can bring only one friend, but instead of bringing just one, you decide to bring your whole class. But not only that, the invited students decide to bring their own friends, who in turn bring their own friends. And so, the number of guests begins to grow exponentially until the party, the server, becomes completely uncontrollable and crashes due to the influx of unexpected guests. This situation is similar to an XML external entity attack, where a malicious XML file can trigger unexpected external requests or overload the server with too many resources. Number 6. Broken access control for users. Imagine you live in a house without doors or locks. Anyone can come in, look at your belongings, and even use them for their own purposes. Without control over who enters or exits, your security is at risk. The same happens in the digital world when systems lack reliable access control mechanisms. Hackers exploit weaknesses in these mechanisms to get unauthorized access to accounts, databases, and servers. They can view or modify data, steal personal information like passwords and bank details, or even sabotage the entire website. Example: in a company, each employee has access only to information related to their work. But if the system isn't secure, a hacker could exploit a vulnerability in the access settings and view files they shouldn't have access to. For example, they could gain access to a bank database and carry out unauthorized transactions. What can you do as a user? Use strong passwords for your accounts. Enable two-factor authentication whenever possible. Never use the same password for multiple accounts. Number 5. Security misconfiguration for developers. In the following example, let's imagine a bank that keeps its money in a safe, but leaves the key in a plain sight. With such a mistake, it's only a matter of time before someone takes advantage of it. The same happens with websites or systems when they are not properly secured. Hackers often look for vulnerabilities like default settings or the lack of additional security measures. For example, using default password like admin123 or password is like leaving the safe key out in the open. How the attack works? Hackers automatically scan networks and websites to find vulnerabilities. If they find a misconfigured system like a server with a default password or publicly accessible settings, they can break it and access sensitive data, user information, finance records, or even full control of the site. How to avoid this? This task is for developers to use strong passwords, remove default settings, and regularly review and improve the system configurations. Number 4. Vulnerable and outdated components for developers. Now, your car has a faulty brake system. What would you do? I know what you will do. You would fix it, right? Because if you don't, eventually an accident will happen. This is exactly what happens with websites that don't update their security. When you use outdated or faulty components, you're leaving the door open for hackers. Old versions of software, libraries, and components on your site can contain known vulnerabilities that hackers can easily find and exploit. These vulnerabilities didn't appear randomly. They were discovered by security experts and marked as risk. If your website doesn't update its component, such as PHP versions, plugins, or security libraries, they become prime targets for hackers. A common example of an attack through outdated components is when a site uses an old payment processing application. Hackers know these applications have known vulnerabilities and can exploit them to steal personal or financial data. Number 3. Deserialization attacks for users. Imagine someone gets your passport, changes the personal information inside, and pretends to be you. While you're on vacation, this new you can withdraw money from your bank account or get into clubs under your name. In the digital world, this is called the deserialization attack. It occurs when a hacker manipulates data that is packed and unpacked by servers. This data is used to transmit information between different parts of the system. If this process is not secure, hackers can tamper with it by adding malicious code or even gain control over the server. Real life example. Imagine you are using an online flight reservation service. Your data, name, seat preferences, flight date, is stored and transmitted between different servers. If a hacker manipulates this data, they can change your reservation or even steal your identity in the system. How to protect yourself? Trust reliable apps and websites. Use antivirus software and firewalls. Regularly update your apps and operating system. Number 2. Unsecure deserialization for developers. Now, imagine leaving your front door unlocked so the delivery person can drop off a package. Instead, someone comes in, rearranges your furniture, installs a hidden camera, and changes your space without your knowledge. This is the analogy for unsecure deserialization. Technically, deserialization is the process where data saved in a certain format is transformed back into its original structure to be used by an application or system. Unsecure deserialization happens when a hacker manipulates this data by adding malicious code which can manipulate the system, steal information, or gain unauthorized access. Real life example. Imagine you are using an online gaming app. Your game progress data is certified, but the hacker manages to alter the file, making it appear as if you have access to higher levels or rare items. Of course, you can benefit from that, but this could damage the entire game system. Number 1. Lack of monitoring and logging for developers. Imagine you leave your keys in a public place but don't know where exactly they are. If someone takes them, you will not know who did it or when it happened. That's exactly what a lack of monitoring and logging represents. Websites and apps that don't track their activities leave door opens for hackers. Without event logging, knowing when, how, or who has gained unauthorized access to the system is impossible. What happens when there is no effective logging? No data on who logged in, when, and what they did. Suspicious activities such as multiple access attempts or data extraction cannot be detected. If an attack occurs, administrators have no records to analyze, to understand what happened, or to prevent future breaches. Real life example. Imagine an online store where customers register and place orders. If there is no login of activities, a hacker could make fake orders or manipulate accounts without anyone knowing how it happened. So friends, that was our ranking on the top 10 most common cybersecurity vulnerabilities and how to protect yourself from them. Tip guys, always be careful with your passwords and use two-factor authentication. Don't enter sensitive information while connected to public Wi-Fi, and be cautious about who you send sensitive data to via email. These small steps can make a big difference in your online security. Bonus: strong passwords. Now, let me review a method for creating a difficult to crack password that is easy to remember. Come up with a sentence that you will easily remember. It should include numbers such as a date, year, or anything else. Then, use the first letter of each word, the numbers, and finish with a punctuation mark. Here's an example. The sentence, "My beloved pet was born in 2016," will become capital M B P W V I 2016 dot. We have a capital letter, punctuation, and numbers. This is a strong password. I hope you enjoyed this list. If so, you know the exercise. Like, subscribe, and share the video on social media to help more people learn how to protect themselves from cyber attacks. I'm Dimitar guys, and you are with Fact Hunters. See you next time.